Hi, my name is Renford Reese. I'm a political science professor and director of the Colorful Flags program at Cal Poly Pomona. We're here today as a part of the Prison Race series, and we're going to deviate a bit from our normal program script. We have someone here in the studio, Ms. Kim Hulscher, who is coming from Amsterdam, the Netherlands, to talk to us about dealing with the disempowered population, what Marx called the lumpen proletariat, from a comparative perspective. She's coming from Amsterdam. She's worked for the Salvation Army for the last 10 years, and we're grateful to have her in the studio today. Thank you for coming. So you spent some time in San Francisco, and you're Dutch. And I just, first of all, want to get your background. What was it like spending time in San Francisco? And from a comparative perspective, what did you see in terms of the social service agencies and outreach in San Francisco as opposed to in Amsterdam?
Well, the homeless shelter where I worked in, there were mainly, in San Francisco, there were mainly people that just lost their jobs, and because of that they got evicted from their house, so they had to go to the homeless shelter. So basically they didn't have much more problems than their money issues. They got sick or just lost a job because, you know, for whatever reason. And that's why they got in a homeless shelter. And the homeless shelter was very strict. You had to be, you had to have a job within 2 weeks to be able to provide for yourself. And I think within 2 months you had to be able to save enough money for first and last month's rents so you could move on again.
Okay.
The homeless shelter that I worked in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, that's mainly for people that are psychiatric patients, drug addicts. Usually they're both, actually. And when you lose your job in the Netherlands, you don't get on the street like that. So we don't. It's just a total different population.
Okay. So tell me about your background. You've been working in the Salvation Army for 10 years. What do you actually do at the Salvation Army?
Well, I've done a lot. I studied social work, and I've been working in a homeless shelter, in halfway houses, in working with in people's houses, people that are, you know, you sometimes, I don't know if you see it here on TV, you go into somebody's house and it's totally filled with boxes and whatever. You can hardly walk to a couch because it's just a total mess. I worked in those situations where I helped these people clean up their houses and get back on their feet again. And well, those are the kind of things that I did. Right,
so you're in Amsterdam. Amsterdam is infamous or famous for the legalization of soft drugs and for prostitution. You've come in contact with prostitutes. What's your perspective on prostitution being legal in Amsterdam?
I want to say it's legal in the Netherlands. It's not just an Amsterdam thing. It's just, you know, a Dutch that it's legal. What I think about it, the idea that it's legal, for me, it's a good thing, because that's why that way you can know who's a prostitute and how you can help them. If it's not legal, the ones who are in control of these prostitutes can do whatever. So right now, because it's legal, you know, they even need to pay taxes and stuff, but you can also control it. You can see what's going on here, and there's not going to be any abuse and stuff.
So you can regulate it. So yeah. Prostitutes pay taxes on their services in the Netherlands?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So tell me about this new innovative project called the Domus project that you're working on.
Yeah, that's one of the new projects in the Netherlands. It started in Amsterdam in 2006. There are a few other ones in the Netherlands already that the Salvation Army started. And it's a project where only drug addicts are allowed to go in, and drug addicts for like a long time, like 20, 30 years. So who've been committed a lot of crimes, like you know, stealing bikes and breaking into cars and stuff just to get money to buy the drugs. For these crimes, you only go to jail for maybe like 5 days or a week, whatever. So usually they go into jail, get out again, and, you know, like a week or 2 weeks later they go into jail again. So that's kind of what's been their lives. You know, they live on the streets and they go to jail. So what they decided now is, because they're not getting any better of that, and also of course the neighborhood is not getting any better of this, that people who've been caught like several times, they get on this kind of, we call it an ISD list, And when you're on that list, they can take you. It's not a punishment, they can call it that, but they can take you for 2 years. Don't put you in prison, but first they put you in prison, and then they can put you in a program like Domus. And if you're not committing any crime, you can stay there, and afterwards, you know, you can be free. If you do commit a crime, you do have to go back to jail then.
Okay, can you tell me more specifically about the Domus project?
So it's for the drug addicts in the neighborhood. So immediately the neighborhood will benefit also from this project. So the people who are on the streets causing trouble, stealing stuff, we take them out of the streets into this house. Domus means house, home in Latin. We take them in there, and they're allowed to use their drugs inside the house, so they don't have to do it on the streets anymore. So you don't need to be, the people around don't need to be confronted with that anymore, with, groups of homeless people, groups of drug addicts that are using. They have to go to work, so they work a few times a week, as much as they can, because they're physically always really in a bad shape after all these years of abuse. And when they go to work, they get like 10 euros a day, and that way they can provide for their drugs. So they don't have to go out anymore and steal or whatever.
So the agency, the program, is okay with these individuals going out to do work and then giving them 10 euros, knowing that these individuals will actually buy drugs with these 10 euros?
Yeah. But they've been using for 20, 30 years. We don't have the idea. If they want to stop, and we will help them, that's fine. But we don't have the illusion that they're going to be clean and sober anytime soon. So we rather want to have the problems they're making on the streets and the problems they're making for themselves. We want to stop that. So if they go into this Domus house, they don't need to be searching all day from where can I find money to buy my drugs. So that's the positive side of that.
Right, so what you're doing is you're identifying that there's a serious problem, and what you're trying to do is, instead of being kind of disillusioned about the problem, you're saying let's treat it where it is. Mm-hmm. Okay, now what about this? I hear that the Public Health Service, the Public Health Agency for the country, is a very powerful agency.
In Amsterdam, yeah.
In Amsterdam, and I hear that they actually have free heroin for heroin addicts. Can you tell me something about this?
There are free heroin projects, and not everybody can get in there, but it's not a medical thing. It's really for people who've been abusing for a long time, and it's actually the same kind of idea. If you get free heroin, you don't need to go out on the street to steal from people, do burglaries, whatever, to get your money to get the heroin. So there's this place where you can go. Not everybody can go there. You need to be in a program, and then you can go there and you can get your heroin. You need to use it there. You cannot take it outside. You need to use it there. And yeah.
What about the syringes? I hear that there's also a syringe exchange program in Amsterdam.
Yeah, that's been there a long time. Yeah.
So tell me about it.
Well, if you got dirty needles, you can exchange them for the clean ones. So you don't. If you're really a drug addict, you're using heroin, and you don't care about what needle you have. Of course, if you see a needle, you'll use it. But there's a lot of diseases going on, especially between those drug addicts that are using needles, like HIV, but also hepatitis. You call it?
Right, hepatitis.